So I'm kind of looking for the magic bullet here, Vicky. When kind of a high level, when you're looking at managing conversations, coaching sessions, whatever it may be with an agent, is there a good range of how much time to spend with somebody, and outside of just performance, but just kind of looking at with this remote work environment, it's easy when you're on site and you can walk by and say hi or hey, let's talk for 5 minutes. But is there an idea of a line between like how much is too much, but how much is not enough time in a given day or a week where you want to have some one-on-one or a 1 to 5 or 10 open conversation about a team meeting or a coaching session? Is there any kind of right range that is a good number to shoot for, to optimize, to make sure that you're planning properly and executing properly on a lot of those things on the engagement side?
Great question. I guess I get asked about quote unquote best practices all the time. And I think we talked about this, Ed, when I talked with you a little bit on the phone. And yes, I saw you on my schedule. It really is what's best for your organization. And if you're doing the communication feedback loop and you're doing praise calls and quality is helping to coach and there's more touch points throughout the day and you're mirroring the brick and mortar feeling with more touch points, what's going to happen is they're not going to have to dump on you for 35 minutes, right? And you say, oh, by the way, don't forget to isolate the issue and get right to the point, and you need to, spruce up your clothes on the call. And then you're hanging up and checking off your little coaching box, right? So I would say, ask your folks what they need and tell them you're experimenting with this and what they absolutely need. But remember this, what I'm seeing now is they're managing more to numbers and work at home because leaders are feeling out of control because they can't see anybody. So they just assume everybody's cheating, right? Basically. But think about it. When someone gets up to go to the restroom in a brick and mortar, they're not back in 10 minutes. They've stopped and talked to 5 people along the way. They stopped and warmed up something in the microwave on the way back, and they're chomping on it when they, when they got their more ice in their glass. So if you really look at the utilization numbers, if you just give them a little bit of slack, they're going to be okay. And I would say, ask your managers to try different things and get feedback for them. But if you're doing a lot of different touch points and that communication feedback loop is going, you don't need to sit down and have a 30-minute coaching with a top performer. That should be a career development discussion, right? It shouldn't be trying to figure out what you're going to do and smack them around a little bit so you can check off your form. Does that make sense? So try things and have your teams measure it, and maybe take 2 teams and try this, and 2 teams and try something else, and do the video and explain what you're trying to figure out. Your agents will tell you. And then you see if you can work it in your numbers. And if it can't, you guys came back that you wanted 45 minutes. I can only do 30. But if we can up CSATs, or we can come back and not get lost in the virtual hallways on your breaks, where they're supposed to be 10 minutes and you're coming back in 18, then I can extend the coaching. Does everyone want to try that for a week? Let's all try that for a week and see what we do. And then you report back to them in a video and say, hey, we were able to shave X amount of minutes off and we're almost there. See what you can do. And you just bounce the problem back. Let them be responsible for themselves, and you'll find that number. And then as a leader, Ed, you're a COO, right? You got to make the magic happen, right? You're in charge of operations. You've got to make the numbers work, and you've just got to be creative. And again, go to your first level leaders and your agents and just tell them what the problem is.